Greetings, YouTube. Last night, my wife and I watched Enchanted from Disney, with Amy Adams playing Gazelle, the would-be princess. And it starts out as an animated film, and then it moves into the real world, much the way Roger Rabbit did. Interestingly, the first movie like this that they did since Roger Rabbit. And I was in the mood for something light, but not something overly serious. So this kind of fit that niche for me, if you will. And I'd never seen it. Now, I had heard good things about it, and I'd seen people talking about it on Tumblr and on other places online. Occasionally, snippets or a GIF here and there. And yes, I say GIF because it starts with a G. I was pretty confident that I would enjoy it, and I was correct. I did find some fairly minor problematic things with it. For example, there's the queen will stop being a queen, our antagonist, once her stepson marries. Why the heck can't the queen continue to be the queen? That makes no sense to me. Gazelle reaches out and touches the hair of a black woman without permission. That's very problematic. You don't touch other people at all. So there were some minor things like that. Interestingly, the 6-year-old had already absorbed enough of the patriarchal messages in her life to know that if a woman wore too much makeup, it said something about her. She didn't know what it meant to wear too much makeup, but she knew that it was a negative thing. Now, I realize the writers threw that in there, but it's a really great example of how children, and the rest of us who were children once, absorb the patriarchal messages so thoroughly and at such a young age. So that was good. I also found it interesting that Gazelle doesn't start to have emotions for the main male character, the lawyer that she's staying with, until she gets angry at him. Until for the first time she feels a genuine emotion of her own, where she achieves autonomy and agency. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. And of course, Amy Adams was charming and wonderful and looked fabulous in all her dresses. And the dresses became progressively more modern as she became progressively more seated in our world rather than the fantasy land that she'd come from. It's also interesting that the 4 characters that came from the magic world to ours, 2 women and 2 men, the men really didn't have any magical abilities. You could possibly consider the prince who showed up as having some extraordinary physical capacity. He could do things physically that your average person couldn't, because he was supposed to be the hero. So he was kind of the almost like the John McCain toughness, like bounce back up and keep going kind of thing. So that you possibly can view that as a magical ability from the fantasy land, or just a Hollywood film trope. But the other male character, who was initially an antagonist that eventually became an ally, he didn't have any. But both of the female characters from the fantasy land that came into our world, both these women, they continue to possess their magical abilities. Now, Gazelle's magical ability was essentially to summon animals to help her. And in New York City, for the most part, that meant rats and pigeons and cockroaches, which was humorous. But the queen, she kept all of her power. And being a Disney property, this thing is just rife with references to other Disney films. And they did a wonderful job with it. I really and thoroughly enjoyed the whole process. I really did. So I really do recommend this film. It's light, it's entertaining. There's some musical in it. If you don't like musical, I can understand that, but they weren't obnoxious. I was able to handle them without like rolling my eyes or anything. And I think they fit into the whole vibe of the film fairly well. And again, Amy Adams is just so charming and so cute and is not hard to look at, I'll be honest. And the actress that played the daughter in the film, she was quite charming and was able to emote convincingly and had a good deal of emotional depth. I liked that. Even the supporting cast members, the minor characters in this, I thought were quite well done. There's a black guy playing someone that's in the process of getting a divorce, and I don't remember his name. But he has a wonderful voice, and he's a great character actor. And they say, if you're a good character actor, you can work for as long as you want to. Big stars, they fail, but character actors just keep getting contracts. They may not make the big bucks, but they keep working for as long as they want. And this guy has that kind of vibe about him. He's going to be acting as forever. And I really dig his persona that he brings. There's part of him in every role I've seen him in. And again, great voice. Julie Andrews plays the narrator. That was quite nice. And 3 of the voice actresses in this film voiced Disney princesses. As an interesting aside, Amy Adams' Gazelle did not become a Disney princess because Amy Adams is a real person. And if Disney made Gazelle into one of the Disney princesses like all the others from the animated films, they would have to pay Amy Adams royalties for her entire life and her descendants for as long as the copyright lasted, I guess. So they didn't make her character. Gazelle didn't become a Disney princess for that reason, which is interesting to see that kind of that most obvious corporate decision cut into what is normally seen as just an aspect of Disney films. Female princess-like characters just join the pack of the other Disney princesses. Some of them aren't even princesses, but they're still considered princesses. Princesses is not an easy word to say. So I really enjoyed Enchanted. I had a good time, and I recommend it. Again, it's light, and it's going to be a decent family film. But both my wife and I watched it with no family in the room other than ourselves and this cat. So if you've seen it, tell me what you think. How do you think it stands up to the other Disney properties you've seen? I think it's definitely something I'll be watching again in the future because it seems that it has a certain lightness to it. It's not as good as Princess Bride, but it still feels like something I could watch in multiple viewings without difficulty, which is always nice. So tell me, what did you think of it?